Hey guys, my apologies for how long it's been since I made a video. I've been sort of overwhelmed with school, teaching I should say, and with my other job. Plus I've had some computer problems the last couple of days, so everything sort of conspired to make me not review this watch, which I promised a while ago. I also apologize for the noise. It is February, but it's 70 degrees out today. So I have all my windows open and I live on kind of a busy street, but I wanted to be near the window so I could have good light for you. So anyway, let's get to it. I don't want to make this a super long video, but I promised a review of this Carnival full calendar watch, Chinese-made watch, which I unboxed probably a little bit over a month ago. You can check that out in the archives. I don't have a lot to say about it, but I want to start just with the basics. As you would have seen in the unboxing, it does come with a warranty card, not filled out. Whether or not you could ever really use this anyway is sort of beyond me. Maybe if you lived in China, it'd probably be hard here. And then it has instructions, but you'll see, even when they're written in English, it's kind of the traditional, not very good translation problem, so some of them are a little bit confusing. But at least it comes with this stuff. It's not just a watch thrown in a bag or an envelope and mailed to you. It also came in this box, sort of a cheap watch pillow, a corrugated cardboard box. It's fine, perfectly nice for the price point. Personally, I prefer that to the sort of awful blue Seiko boxes. And originally, it came on this leather strap, which says genuine leather. It's probably, I forget what they call it, but it's probably that leather where they take all the bad bits, mash them up, and then process them into an embossed leather design. So although it is leather, it's really cheap. Doesn't bend correctly, doesn't wear very evenly, it looks kind of bad. Not a very nice strap. So I took the deployment buckle it came on and attached it to this. This is a Colorab Venezia strap. Anyway, this watch cost me about $90. If you're willing to buy it from AliExpress and take the risk that goes along with buying on some of those Chinese shopping websites, you can get it, around $89.95. It seems like. If you want to buy this from Amazon or from an eBay seller, generally speaking, it looks like they're about $110 to $150, depending on the model you get and who's selling it. The watch is advertised as having sapphire glass, which in that price point is pretty remarkable. It is not sapphire glass. I don't know if you can really hear that. It has the pretty traditional mineral crystal sound, and if you were to drop water onto it as the official test, I am 100% confident that it would show up as mineral crystal. I don't have an eyedropper, nor do I want to spill water all over my desk before I grade papers, so you'll have to take my word for it. It is a two-tone stainless steel case with rose gold plating and a display back, as you can see. The dial itself, if I can get in there, is textured. I'm not quite sure what the correct word for that is, but it's a little bit like a waffling kind of texture. And the subdials have sort of little silver frames around them. As far as complications and functions go, it has a day-night indicator, which you can see on the bottom. You can see the sun is shining because it is in the middle of the day. It's 2:30-ish. Of course, it's not a moon phase, right? So as it's nighttime, you'll see stars and moon. As it's daytime, you'll see the sun, or some combination of the two, depending where you are in the day. But it will not show you moon phases. It is far cheaper and easier to make a day-night than it is a moon phase. And a lot of these Chinese watches will inaccurately call it a moon phase to try to make it sound fancier. It is not one. The other subdials, you can see there is a month. It does not change over automatically. You have to change it yourself. And a year. But the rest of the subdials don't really seem to have any useful function. They'll tick over the minutes at every half an hour, the hours down here, in a different time zone, I guess. I'm not really sure what that does. It's very hard to read the directions. And I really can't figure out what this 24-hour dial is for, because it doesn't seem to move in a way that correlates to the actual time. And when you set it, only one of the hands moves. So I guess it could be used to match a different time zone if you really wanted to. They're not really that useful. The real complications here are the month, year, and the date, which is indicated with that half moon hand on the outside. And of course the day-night indicator. These are all operated either with pulling out the crown to set the time, which will change the date, or the pushers. And then there are two other hidden pushers here that you can operate with a toothpick or the end of a safety pin, something like that. The hands are blued, but obviously they're either chemically or painted blue. There's not heat blued steel. That would be far too expensive for a $90 watch. I really think fit and finish wise, especially with the complexity of the dial and the texture, for $90 this is an incredibly beautiful watch. If you can get over the fact that it is a cheap or inexpensive Chinese watch, and that the complications are of varying usefulness and function, just the pure aesthetic of it, it looks really nice. The first day I wore it on this blue strap, I got a couple of compliments. It looks far more expensive than a $90 watch. I would say the quality and attention to detail of this surpasses a lot of the other Chinese-made but European-owned or American-owned brands that make similar watches for about $150. Sure, this probably the quality control and the customer service you could get if there was a problem with this watch are far below those companies, but just in terms of the build, for $90, this is a solid, sturdy, nice-looking watch. I mean, it's all polished. The finishing isn't complicated, but it's well done. The edges are crisp. It just looks really good. Very attractive watch. The deployment buckle, which I've obviously put on a different strap, has some perlage work on it, which is very attractive. I'm going to take it off now and show you the case back. Obviously automatic. The rotor is decorated, which is nice. And so is the movement, but it's actually, I don't know how well you can tell, other than the flat part of the back plate, it's actually engraved. I mean, it's machined, I'm sure it's just a mold, but it looks engraved rather than like polished. I actually don't like this. I think it is trying to look much fancier than it is, and if you know anything about watch finishing and watch movements, it's not very impressive looking. It looks like someone trying really hard to dress or present themselves as if they have money, who you can tell doesn't quite know how to do it right. That's a very snobby way to look at it, but it's the best analogy I can think of. This movement is trying to look more beautiful than it possibly can, and that to me makes it less attractive. But it is what it is. I don't know much about Chinese movements. A member of the Urban Gentry Facebook group told me this was a sea-gull movement of some kind that's very common and popular in these full calendar watches from China, and that makes sense to me, but I don't know if it's true. Anyone who knows, please leave a comment below. You see stainless steel. It's only 30 meters of water resistance, which is to be expected. Carnival is the English name of the brand, and then on the back, I don't know how to say this, Jiannianhua. That's probably butchered, but that's the Chinese name of the brand. Do some quick measurements and then close this out. Right around 40, just under. It's a pretty thick watch because of the complicated movement. 13.15 essentially. Very similar to a lot of divers. The lug width is 20 millimeters. And the lug to lug, which really is the most useful for sizing, I think. Lug to lug is just under 48. So it's a good size, a little bit big for me, especially because of the kind of aggressive lug to lug sizing. One of the things I like about some of the Japanese divers is that even when they're bigger, they aren't that long, so to speak. They don't have a very large lug to lug, and it makes them wear smaller, which is good for me. Let me try this on for you. I forgot to do a wristwatch check as usual. I'm wearing my Seiko Sarb 035, and it's so nice that I decided to put it on this preppy summer look that I love for it. Sorry if you hate NATOs and dress watches, it is what it is. And you can see on my wrist, which I recently measured, is just under 6.5 inches. I think I have like a 6.35, 6.4 inch wrist, so pretty small. This is about as big as I personally am comfortable wearing. Because if you think about it, this style of watch, it's a dress watch. Sure, it's a complicated, sort of masculine dress watch with a lot of presence, but it is still a dress watch. And on my wrist, this looks a little big, I think. And if I had a button-down shirt on, for instance, or a blazer, it's a little too chunky for my personal preference. I like a smaller, more vintage size. Obviously, if you don't have tiny wrists, that won't matter at all. If you have average or even large wrists, this would be a great dress watch for you. But it looks good. My experience wearing it, it keeps fine time, you know, what you would expect from a watch in this price range. I haven't had any issues with it working, and it looks great. I don't know, maybe it's like the inner snob that I can't get over. I don't find myself gravitating toward it, because I know that it's trying and succeeding to look like a watch that's much more expensive than the actual mechanics and craftsmanship of the watch. I am happier wearing a Seiko 5, even though it's much less complicated and has much less detail, you know, or like an Orient, a $200 tool watch. They just feel like what they are, and something about me likes that. It's very modernist, you know, form follows function. You're not like trying to fool anyone or pull the wool over someone's eyes. I'm not saying that if you like this style of watch and you can't afford, you know, a really expensive Patek or JLC or whatever else, that you shouldn't go for this. If you like it and you want to wear it, I think it's a high quality watch for the money. You can't go wrong. It's just not right for me. The watch does hand wind. It's a little grainy. It does hand wind. It does not hack. And when you set all of the complications, the manual and the seller, to his credit, was very, very clear. It has to be between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. when you set all the complications to avoid breaking the movement, because it's a very complicated movement made very cheaply. You just have to make sure that it's in that window if you want to set any of the secondary functions. But yeah, if you're looking for a watch with this aesthetic and you have about $100 to spend, I'd highly recommend this. I think it's great. It's just not a watch for me that I think will last in my collection. With that said, I'm more than willing to sell this watch if the right deal comes around. You know, it's about a $100 watch, brand new. I've worn it about 5 times, and I put a $40 strap on it. So if you want to avoid the shipping from China and risk of dealing with AliExpress, I'd be happy to work out a deal with you. You know, send me an email, leave me a message below, and we can figure something out. Until then, I might wear this for the rest of the day, actually. It's sort of comfortable. That's my review of this Carnival full calendar dress watch from China. Good quality for the money, just not my thing. Please leave a comment below. I'm hoping to not have such a long gap before my next video. I've got something kind of cool in the mail. And until then, goodbye.